She took her daughter to a hospital and walked into her millionaire ex, the daughter's father. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as the doctor looked up from his chart, and every molecule of oxygen vanished from the room. Celie. That was all he said. Just her name. One word that carried 7 years of silence, 7 years of wondering, 7 years of regret. She stood there in the emergency room doorway, her injured 5-year-old daughter pressed against her chest, and time itself seemed to fracture. Dr. Sinclair. My daughter needs medical attention. Her voice was ice. Pure, defensive, protective ice. But her eyes. Her eyes told a different story entirely. William Sinclair stepped closer, his gaze moving from the woman he had never stopped loving to the child in her arms. A child with his jawline. His nose. His eyes staring back at him like a mirror into a past he thought was lost forever. Your daughter. It was not a question. It was a realization. A devastating, earth-shattering realization that crashed through him like a tidal wave. She is 5 years old. Her birthday is in January. He did the math. January meant conceived in April. April, 7 years ago. Right before everything between them had shattered into a million irreparable pieces. You were pregnant when you left. I was pregnant when you chose your family over me. When you stood there silent while your mother called me trash. When you looked me in the eyes and told me our love was a fantasy that could not survive in your world. The words hit him like physical blows, each one landing exactly where it was meant to land. Why did you not tell me? Tell you. The man who was engaged to someone else 3 months after breaking my heart. The man whose mother threatened to destroy me if I did not disappear. You want to know why I did not tell you? She stepped further into the room, her daughter whimpering softly against her shoulder. Because you did not deserve to know. The silence that followed was deafening. 2 people. 7 years of pain. And one little girl who had no idea that the doctor examining her was about to become the most important person in her life. What happened in that emergency room changed everything. It forced 2 people to confront a past they had both tried to bury. It revealed secrets that had been hidden for half a decade. And it set into motion a chain of events that would challenge everything they believed about trust, redemption, and the terrifying possibility of second chances. But before I tell you how this story unfolds, before we discover whether broken things can ever truly be made whole, I need you to do something for me. If you have ever been hurt by someone you loved, if you have ever wondered whether people can actually change, or if you are simply here because you love a story that will keep you on the edge of your seat, hit that like button right now. Subscribe to Mr. Dawson's Stories if you have not already, because this is just the beginning. And trust me, you are going to want to be here for every single twist and turn. Now let me take you back. Back to before the hospital. Back to before the secrets. Back to when Celie Johnson believed in fairy tales, and William Sinclair was the prince she thought would save her. She had no idea he would become the villain of her story before life gave him a chance to rewrite his role entirely. 7 years ago. Seattle, Washington. The charity gala at the Sinclair Medical Technologies headquarters glittered with the kind of wealth that made ordinary people feel small. Crystal chandeliers. Champagne that cost more per bottle than most people earned in a week. Women in gowns that could have fed families for months. Men in suits that whispered of power and privilege and generations of money. Celie Johnson did not belong there. She knew it. Everyone who looked at her knew it. But she had been hired to consult on the hospital wing the Sinclair Foundation was funding, and attendance at the gala was mandatory. She wore a dress she had found at a consignment shop. Emerald green silk that had probably cost someone thousands of dollars before it ended up on a rack with a $40 price tag. Her hair was done by her own hands, her makeup applied in a hotel bathroom, her jewelry borrowed from her mother. She felt like a fraud. A beautiful fraud, but a fraud nonetheless. And then she saw him. William Sinclair stood near the bar, surrounded by people who clearly wanted something from him. She could see it in their body language. The leaning in. The too loud laughter. The desperate attempts to hold his attention. But his attention was not on them. His attention was on her. Their eyes met across that crowded ballroom, and something shifted. Something neither of them could explain or control. He excused himself from his admirers and walked toward her with the kind of confidence that came from never having been told no. You look like you would rather be anywhere else. His opening line. Not a compliment on her appearance. Not a question about who she was or what she did. Just an observation. An honest one. Is it that obvious? Only to someone who feels the same way. He extended his hand. Williams. And yes, before you ask, I am one of those Sinclairs. But I am hoping you will talk to me anyway. She took his hand. His grip was warm. Solid. Celie Johnson. Healthcare consultant. And I do not care whose name is on the building. He smiled then. A real smile that transformed his face from handsome to devastating. That is exactly what I was hoping you would say. They talked for 3 hours that night. Not about business or money or the gala happening around them. They talked about ideas. About healthcare inequality. About the difference between treating symptoms and addressing causes. About everything that mattered and nothing that did not. When the gala ended, he walked her to her car. I need to see you again. Why? Because you do not talk to me like I am a Sinclair. You talk to me like I am just Williams. And I cannot remember the last time someone did that. She should have said no. She knew it even then. Men like William Sinclair did not end up with women like Celie Johnson. Their worlds were too different. Their futures were too incompatible. But something in his eyes made her believe, just for a moment, that maybe fairy tales could be real. Okay. That one word changed both of their lives forever. What followed was 6 months of secret happiness. Secret because Williams knew his family would never approve. His mother, Victoria Sinclair, had very specific ideas about who her son should marry. Old money. Connected families. Women who understood the unspoken rules of their social class. Celie was none of those things. She was the daughter of a single mother who had worked 3 jobs to put her through college. She was scrappy and smart and completely unimpressed by the Sinclair fortune. She challenged Williams in ways no one else ever had. She made him question assumptions he did not even know he held. She made him want to be better. And he fell in love with her. Completely. Desperately. In the way that only happens once in a lifetime. I want to marry you. He said it one night in her small apartment. They were lying on her second-hand couch, her head on his chest, the sounds of the city floating through the open window. Williams. I am serious. I do not care what my family thinks. I do not care about their plans or their expectations. You are my future, Celie. I want to spend the rest of my life with you. She looked up at him, and for a moment, she let herself believe it. What about your mother? She will never accept me. Then she will lose a son. Because I am not giving you up. He meant it. She could see it in his eyes. He absolutely meant it. But meaning something and doing something are 2 very different things. And William Sinclair was about to learn that the hard way. The discovery happened 3 weeks later. Victoria Sinclair had a way of finding out things people did not want her to know. It was one of her many talents, cultivated over decades of navigating the treacherous waters of old money society. She invited Celie to tea. A proper, formal invitation that arrived on cream-colored stationery with the Sinclair family crest embossed in gold. Celie knew it was a trap. But she also knew that refusing would only delay the inevitable. So she went. Dressed in her best professional attire. Ready to be judged and found wanting. Victoria did not disappoint. The sitting room in the Sinclair mansion was designed to intimidate. Antique furniture that cost more than most houses. Art on the walls that belonged in museums. And Victoria herself, seated in a high-backed chair like a queen holding court, her silver hair perfectly coiffed, her expression carefully neutral. Miss Johnson. Thank you for coming. Mrs. Sinclair. Thank you for inviting me. Let us not pretend this is a social call. I know about your relationship with my son. I know about the promises he has made you. And I am here to explain why none of them will ever come true. Celie sat down across from her, refusing to be cowed. With all due respect, Mrs. Sinclair, what happens between Williams and me is between Williams and me. Victoria laughed. A cold, brittle sound. How charmingly naive. Do you really think my son will choose you over everything? His inheritance. His position in the company. His future. You are a distraction, Miss Johnson. A pleasant one, I am sure. But a distraction nonetheless. I love your son. And he loves me. I am sure he thinks he does. Williams has always had a weakness for strays. But he will come to his senses. They always do. The cruelty was casual. Almost bored. Like Celie was not even worth the effort of real malice. And if he does not come to his senses on his own, I will help him along. I have resources, Miss Johnson. Connections. The ability to make life very difficult for people who threaten my family's interests. Are you threatening me? I am informing you of reality. You do not belong in our world. You never will. And if you care about Williams at all, you will walk away before he is forced to choose between you and everything he has ever known. Because he will choose his family. They always do. Celie stood. Her legs were shaking, but her voice was steady. You do not know your son as well as you think you do. She walked out of that mansion with her head held high. But inside, something had cracked. A tiny fissure of doubt that would grow into a canyon over the next 3 weeks. Because Victoria Sinclair was right about one thing. Williams would be forced to choose. And when that moment came, he would not choose her. The night everything ended started like any other. Celie arrived at Williams' apartment for dinner. He had promised to cook for her. Badly, but with enthusiasm. It was one of the things she loved about him. His willingness to try things he was not good at. His ability to laugh at himself. But when she walked in, he was not in the kitchen. He was sitting on the couch, his head in his hands, looking like a man who had just received news of a death. Williams. What happened? He looked up. His eyes were red. He had been crying. My mother came to see me today. The fissure in Celie's heart cracked wider. What did she say? She said. He stopped. Started again. She said I have to make a choice. You or my family. My inheritance. My position. Everything. And what did you tell her? He did not answer. That was answer enough. Williams. She knows about us, Celie. She has known for weeks. She has been gathering information. About your background. Your mother's debts. Your struggles to build your career. She says. What? What does she say? He could not meet her eyes. She says if I do not end things with you, she will destroy you. Not just your career. Everything. She will make it impossible for you to work in healthcare ever again. She will call in your mother's debts. She will. Stop. Celie's voice was quiet. Too quiet. Just stop. She walked to the window. The Seattle skyline glittered outside, indifferent to the drama unfolding in this apartment. So that is it then. Your mother threatens me, and you fold. It is not that simple. It is exactly that simple. She turned to face him. You told me you loved me. You told me you wanted to marry me. You told me you did not care what your family thought. I do love you. Then stand up for me. The silence stretched between them. Seconds that felt like hours. I cannot. The words fell into the room like stones into still water. Ripples of devastation spreading outward in every direction. You cannot. Or you will not. Does it matter? It matters to me. Williams finally stood. Walked toward her. Reached for her hands. She stepped back. Do not touch me. Celie, please. Try to understand. My family. Everything I have. Everything I am. It is all tied up in them. If I walk away, I lose it all. And if you stay, you lose me. He said nothing. And his silence was the loudest thing she had ever heard. You know what the worst part is? Her voice cracked on the words. The worst part is that your mother was right. She told me you would choose your family. She told me they always do. And I did not believe her. I thought we were different. I thought you were different. I am sorry. Sorry does not fix this, Williams. Sorry does not undo the fact that you just told me your money and your status and your family's approval mean more to you than I do. That is not what I. That is exactly what you said. You just used prettier words. She walked toward the door. Every step felt like walking through concrete. But she would not stay. She would not beg. She would not give him or his mother the satisfaction of seeing her break. Celie. Please. Can we just talk about this? She stopped with her hand on the doorknob. There is nothing left to say. You made your choice. Now I am making mine. She turned to look at him one last time. This man she had loved. This man she had believed in. This man who had just proven himself to be exactly the coward his mother had raised him to be. Goodbye, Williams. She walked out. She did not look back. 3 hours later, she was at the airport. The next flight to anywhere that was not Seattle was going to Denver. She bought a ticket. 2 weeks after that, sitting on the bathroom floor of a cheap motel, she stared at 2 pink lines on a pregnancy test and realized that walking away from William Sinclair was no longer just about her. She was carrying his child. And she made a decision in that moment. A decision that would shape the next 7 years of her life. He would never know. A man who could not choose her did not deserve to know about the life they had created together. A man who let his mother threaten her, who chose money over love, who proved himself unworthy of trust, that man did not get to be a father. She would do this alone. She would build a life for herself and her baby. And William Sinclair would never, ever know what he had lost. That was 7 years ago. 7 years of struggle. 7 years of building something from nothing. 7 years of raising her daughter Maya to be strong and smart and completely unaware of the father who did not know she existed. Celie built her healthcare consulting business from her apartment floor with a newborn in a bassinet beside her. She took client calls at 3 in the morning because that was when Maya finally slept. She learned to function on 4 hours of rest and cold coffee and sheer determination. By the time Maya was 2, Celie had 5 clients. By the time she was 3, Celie had an office and 2 employees. By the time she was 5, Celie Johnson had built a consulting empire. 47 employees. Contracts with major hospital systems across 3 states. A reputation for brilliance and relentless work ethic. She had done it alone. Every single bit of it. And she was proud of that. Fiercely, defiantly proud. But she had also built walls. Walls around her heart that no one was allowed to breach. Walls that protected her and Maya from the kind of devastation she had experienced in Seattle. She dated occasionally. Never seriously. Never anyone who got close enough to matter. She had learned her lesson. Love was a luxury she could not afford. And then, on an ordinary Tuesday afternoon in October, her 5-year-old daughter fell from the monkey bars at the park near their house. Maya was fearless. That was the thing about her. She was always climbing, always reaching, always pushing boundaries. Usually it worked out fine. Usually Celie just held her breath and reminded herself that children needed to take risks to learn. But this time, Maya's hand slipped. And she fell. The sound of her daughter's scream would haunt Celie for years. That high-pitched wail of pain and fear that every mother recognizes instinctively. The sound that makes you forget everything except getting to your child. Celie reached her in seconds. Maya was on the ground, crying, her left arm bent at an angle that made Celie's stomach lurch. "Okay, baby. Okay. Mama is here. We are going to fix this. It hurts, Mama. It hurts so much. I know, sweetheart. I know it does. But you are going to be okay. I promise you are going to be okay." Celie scooped her daughter into her arms, careful not to jostle the injured limb, and ran for her car. The nearest hospital was Mercy General, 15 minutes away. 15 minutes had never felt so long. Maya cried the whole way. Celie talked to her continuously, keeping her voice calm even as her heart pounded. Single motherhood had taught her this. The ability to project peace in the middle of chaos. The skill of being the calm center when everything around her was falling apart. "We are almost there, baby. Almost there. You are being so brave. Mama is so proud of you." By the time they reached the hospital, Maya had stopped screaming. The silence worried Celie even more than the crying had. Shock, maybe. Pain, exhaustion. Either way, they needed help. She pushed through the emergency room doors with Maya in her arms, and the chaos of the waiting room swallowed them. Crying children. Worried parents. Nurses moving with the kind of purposeful efficiency that spoke of too many patients and too few resources. "I need help. My daughter fell. I think her arm is broken." The intake nurse looked up, took one glance at Maya's arm, and immediately stood. "Follow me. We will get you into a room right away." They wound through corridors that smelled of antiseptic and anxiety. Past curtained bays where other families dealt with their own emergencies. Into a small examination room with harsh fluorescent lighting and medical equipment that Celie could identify by manufacturer and price point. Professional hazard. Even in crisis, her consultant brain never fully shut off. "A doctor will be with you shortly." The nurse was already entering information into a tablet. "We will need some information for registration." Celie rattled off the details automatically. Insurance. Maya's medical history. Allergies. Emergency contacts. All the information she kept organized in her mind like files in a cabinet because that was what single mothers did. They prepared for everything. The nurse left. Celie settled Maya onto the examination table, arranging pillows to support her injured arm. "How are you doing, baby?" "It still hurts. But not as loud anymore." "Not as loud." That was Maya's way of describing pain levels. Loud meant screaming. Quiet meant manageable. That is good, sweetheart. The doctor is going to come look at your arm and figure out how to make it better. Can you be brave for a little while longer? I can try. Maya's voice was small but determined. I am brave like you, Mama. Celie kissed her daughter's forehead, blinking back tears she refused to shed. You are braver than me, baby. So much braver. The curtain rustled. A voice spoke from behind her. I understand we have a possible fracture. Let us take a look at. The voice stopped. Celie turned. And her entire world collapsed. William Sinclair stood in the doorway. Older. Distinguished. Silver threading through his dark hair at the temples. But unmistakably, undeniably, catastrophically him. He was wearing a white coat. A physician's coat. Since when was he a physician? He was supposed to be running the family empire. He was supposed to be in Seattle. He was supposed to be anywhere but here, standing in front of her, looking at her like he had seen a ghost. Celie. Just her name. Just those 2 syllables. But they carried the weight of 7 years of silence, 7 years of questions, 7 years of what might have been. For a moment, neither of them moved. Neither of them breathed. The universe itself seemed to pause, waiting to see what would happen next. Then Maya spoke. Mama. Is this the doctor? And the spell shattered. Celie turned partially, shielding her daughter with her body in a movement so instinctive she did not even realize she was doing it. Dr. Sinclair. My daughter needs medical attention. Her voice was ice. Pure, crystalline ice that she had spent 7 years learning to form. Protection. Defense. The walls she had built brick by brick to ensure she would never be hurt like that again. Williams blinked. Tried to process. Failed. His eyes moved from Celie's face to the child on the examination table. To the child who had his eyes. His jawline. His expressions. Your daughter. Yes. Who fell from monkey bars and needs her arm examined. Are you going to treat her, or should I request another physician? The question was a challenge. A test. Would he run now, the way he had run before? But something had changed in William Sinclair. 7 years had carved new lines into his face, but they had also carved something else. Something that looked almost like strength. He stepped forward. Crouched down to Maya's level with a gentleness that caught Celie off guard. Hi there. I am Dr. Williams. Can you tell me what happened? Maya looked at him with the unfiltered curiosity that only children possess. I fell. From the top of the monkey bars. I was trying to do what the big kids do, but my hand slipped. That sounds really scary. Does your arm hurt a lot right now? It hurts quiet now. Not loud anymore. Loud was when I first fell. Williams nodded seriously, accepting her terminology without question. Quiet pain is easier to handle than loud pain. You are very brave. Can I look at your arm? I will be very gentle, I promise. Maya glanced at Celie for permission. When Celie nodded, because whatever history she had with this man, he was still a doctor and her daughter was still hurt, Maya extended her injured arm carefully. Williams examined her with practiced hands that moved with a precision Celie had not expected. This was not a man playing at medicine. This was a man who knew what he was doing. We will need an X-ray to confirm, but I suspect a green stick fracture. Very common in children her age. Very treatable. We will have her fixed up in no time. I know what a green stick fracture is. The words came out sharper than Celie intended. Williams looked up at her, and for a moment, his professional mask slipped. She saw the pain underneath. The recognition. The dawning realization. Of course you do. You always were the smartest person in any room. Save the flattery. Just treat my daughter. He flinched at her tone, but nodded. I will order the X-ray now. He turned to Maya. We are going to take a special picture of your arm, okay? It will not hurt at all. And then we are going to put a cast on it. Do you know what a cast is? It is the thing that goes around your arm when it is broken. My friend Jasmine had one last year. It was pink. What color would you want? Purple. Maya did not hesitate. Purple is the best color. I completely agree. He smiled at her, and something in Celie's chest twisted painfully. Because that smile. That warm, genuine, completely disarming smile. It was the same smile she had fallen in love with 7 years ago. He called for a nurse, arranged the X-ray, and then the nurse was wheeling Maya down the corridor, leaving Celie and Williams alone in the examination room. The silence was suffocating. "She is mine." It was not a question. His voice cracked on the words. "Biologically. How old is she?" 5. Her birthday is in January. She watched him do the math. Watched his face drain of color as he counted backward 9 months from January. April. 7 years ago. Right before. Right before you broke my heart. Yes. You were pregnant when you left. I was pregnant when you chose your inheritance over me. When you stood there in silence while your mother threatened to destroy my life. When you told me our love was a fantasy that could not survive in your world. Each word was a knife. She wielded them with precision, aiming for maximum damage. Why did you not tell me? Tell you. The bitter laugh that escaped her throat surprised even her. Tell the man who could not stand up to his mother. Tell the man who was engaged to someone else 3 months after I left. Tell the man whose family considered me trash. Celie. No. She held up her hand. You do not get to say my name like that. You do not get to look at me with those wounded eyes and expect sympathy. You made your choice, Williams. I made mine. I was wrong. 3 words. Simple and devastating. Yes. You were. The silence stretched between them, thick with years of pain and questions and might-have-beens. I want to know her. His voice was barely a whisper. Biologically, she is your daughter. But in every other way that matters, she has been mine alone for 5 years. Whether you have any right to be in her life is something I will determine. Over time. Based on your actions. Not your words. I understand. Do you? Because 7 years ago, you chose convenience over commitment. You chose the easy path over the right one. You chose your family's approval over the woman who loved you. What makes you think you are capable of being a father now? I have changed. People do not change overnight, Williams. I did not change overnight. I have been changing for 7 years. She stared at him, looking for the crack in the facade, the tell that would reveal this was all an act. But something in his eyes was different. Something that looked almost like genuine pain. Genuine regret. Genuine transformation. And Celie hated how much she wanted to believe him. Before we go any further in this story, before I tell you what happened when Maya came back from her X-ray and discovered the truth about the doctor who had been examining her, I need to pause and speak directly to you. We are at a crucial point right now. Celie has just confronted the man who shattered her world with the existence of the daughter he never knew about. Williams is reeling from a revelation that has upended everything he thought he knew about the last 7 years of his life. And the question hanging over all of this, the question that matters more than any other, is this. Can people really change? Is redemption possible? Or are we doomed to repeat our mistakes forever? I want to hear what you think. Drop a comment right now telling me, should Celie give Williams a chance to prove himself? Or is some damage simply too deep to repair? If this story is resonating with you, if you have ever faced a situation where you had to decide whether to trust someone who had hurt you, hit that like button. Share this with someone who needs to hear that healing is possible, even when it seems impossible. And make sure you are subscribed with notifications on, because what happens next is going to challenge everything you think you know about forgiveness. Now, let us continue. Because Maya is about to return from her X-ray. And the conversation that follows is going to change everything. The curtain rustled, and the nurse wheeled Maya back into the room. Good news. The X-ray confirmed a green stick fracture. Clean break. We will cast it and she will be good as new in 6 weeks. Maya was holding her tablet, absorbed in a game, but she looked up when the nurse finished speaking. Does that mean I get my purple cast now? It does. Williams moved to gather the casting materials. We are going to make your arm look very cool. Cool. Maya considered the word. Jasmine is going to be so jealous. As Williams worked on the cast, he talked to Maya. Not the patronizing chatter that some adults use with children, but real conversation. He asked about her life, her interests, her favorite things. What do you want to be when you grow up? A veterinarian. Because I love animals. But I am a little scared of the big ones. So maybe I will just take care of the small ones. Small animals need good doctors too. That is what Mama says. She says all work is important work as long as you do it with your whole heart. Your Mama sounds very smart. She is the smartest person in the whole world. Maya said this with absolute certainty. She built her whole company by herself. With me as a baby. She worked very, very hard. Williams glanced at Celie. Something flickered in his eyes. Pride maybe. Or regret for all he had missed. That is very impressive. I know. Maya nodded seriously. She tells me stories about it sometimes. About how she used to have meetings while I was sleeping and eat cold dinner because there was no time for warm dinner. She says those were hard years, but they were also good years because we had each other. Celie felt her eyes sting. Maya had absorbed more than she realized. All those years of struggle, and her daughter had been watching. Learning. Understanding. Your mama is very brave. I know. That is why I am brave too. She taught me. The purple cast was taking shape around Maya's small arm. Williams worked with careful precision, his large hands gentle. What else do you like to do? Besides wanting to be a veterinarian. I like dinosaurs. Because they are real. Even though they are extinct. I used to like unicorns, but then I realized they are just pretend. Dinosaurs actually existed. That makes them more interesting. That is very logical thinking. Mama says I am logical like her but also creative like. Maya stopped. I do not know who I am creative like. Mama does not talk about that part. The room went very still. What do you mean, sweetheart? Williams asked the question carefully. Mama says I have two parts of me. The part from her and the part from. She paused, struggling with words that were too big for a 5-year-old. From my other parent. She says someday she will tell me more about that. When I am older. Williams looked at Celie. Really looked at her. And for the first time since he had walked into this room, she saw tears in his eyes. Your mama is protecting you. He said quietly. That is what good parents do. Are you a parent? The question hung in the air like a held breath. Williams glanced at Celie again, asking silent permission. She gave the smallest nod. Because she knew where this was going, and she could not stop it. Would not stop it. Maya deserved the truth. Yes. He said slowly. I am. Maya studied his face with that unnerving intensity that children sometimes have. The way they see through pretense and straight to the heart of things. You look at Mama weird. What do you mean? Like you know her. Like she is important to you. Williams was struggling. Celie could see it. The careful balance between honesty and age-appropriate conversation. I knew your mama a long time ago. Before you were born. She was very special to me. Why did you stop knowing her? Because I made a mistake. A big one. I was not brave enough to be the person she needed me to be. Maya considered this with the seriousness of a tiny philosopher. Did you say sorry? I tried. But some mistakes are too big for just sorry. That is what Mama says. Maya nodded. She says sorry is the first step. Then you have to show people you mean it with your actions. That is what makes it real. Your mama is right. I know. She is always right. The cast was finished. Purple and perfect, wrapping Maya's small arm like armor. She admired it with the enthusiasm of someone who had received a gift rather than medical treatment. Can I show my friends? They are going to think this is so cool. You can definitely show your friends. But no more monkey bars until the cast comes off, okay? Okay. Maya sighed with dramatic disappointment. I will just watch from the ground. Like a scientist observing her research subjects. Celie could not help but smile. That was pure Maya. Turning every setback into an opportunity for something else. There is paperwork. William said, turning to Celie. And some instructions for care. Can you stay for a few more minutes? Of course. Maya, the nice nurse is going to take you to get a sticker while I talk to your mama about boring grown-up stuff. Is that okay? Will it be a purple sticker? I will make sure of it. Okay then. The nurse led Maya out, and once again, Celie found herself alone with Williams. But this time, something had shifted. The air between them was different. Charged with the conversation they had just witnessed. She is incredible. I know. You did that. You raised her to be this smart, this articulate, this confident. All on your own. I had help. My mother. Some good friends. A community. But mostly on your own. Celie did not answer. The answer was obvious. Williams moved closer. Not touching her. Just present. I want to be in her life, Celie. I know I do not deserve it. I know I have not earned it. But she is my daughter. And I have already missed 5 years. Please do not make me miss any more. The words were simple. The emotion behind them was not. This is not about what you want, Williams. This is about what is best for Maya. I know that. Do you? Because being a father is not about showing up when it is convenient. It is not about birthday presents and weekend visits. It is about being there for the hard parts. The boring parts. The 3 a.m. parts. It is about consistency. Every single day. I understand. You understand now. In this moment. With everything feeling urgent and important. But what happens in 6 months when the novelty wears off? What happens when your life gets busy and a 5-year-old's dance recital conflicts with a board meeting? I will choose the dance recital. You chose your inheritance over me. The words landed like a slap. Williams absorbed them without flinching. I know. And I have spent every day since then regretting it. But I am not the same person I was 7 years ago, Celie. I am not asking you to forgive me. I am not asking for anything for myself. I am just asking for the chance to be a father to a daughter I did not know existed until an hour ago. Celie studied him. Looking for the cracks. The tells. The signs that this was all an act. But all she saw was pain. Real, genuine, devastating pain. The pain of a man who had just discovered he had a child and lost 5 years of her life because of choices he had made. We would need ground rules. Whatever you want. I am not moving to Seattle. Denver is our home. Maya has friends here, school here, a life here. If you want to be part of that life, you come to us. I will relocate. The words came without hesitation. Do not make promises you cannot keep. I am not. I have been looking for a reason to leave Seattle for years. This is the best reason I have ever found. She wanted to believe him. She hated how much she wanted to believe him. We would start slow. Supervised visits only. Video calls if Maya is comfortable with it. You would need a background check. Legal documentation. Custody arrangements that protect my rights as her primary parent. Whatever you need. Whatever protects her. And Williams, if you hurt her. If you let her down, if you make her feel like she is not enough, if you abandon her the way you abandoned me. I will not. Because if you do, there will be no second chances. Not ever. I will use every resource I have to ensure you never see her again. I understand. Do you? I understand that you are protecting your daughter from the possibility that I might be the man I used to be. I understand that you have every reason not to trust me. And I understand that the only way to earn that trust is through consistent action over time. I am prepared to do that work, Celie. For as long as it takes. The words settled between them like a contract. A beginning. Not of forgiveness, but of possibility. One more thing. Anything. What happened to your engagement? The woman your mother chose for you. Williams was quiet for a moment. I broke it off. 2 months after you left. Why? Because I could not do it. I could not pretend to build a life with someone when everything in me knew I had let the right person walk away. And your family. My parents disowned me. When I refused to go through with the marriage, my mother gave me an ultimatum. Marry the woman she had chosen or lose everything. I chose to lose everything. Celie felt something crack in the armor she had built so carefully. You gave up your inheritance. I gave up a cage. I finished medical school on my own. Built the Sinclair Medical Initiative to fund research and donate equipment to hospitals that need it. I have spent the last 7 years trying to become someone worthy of the chance I wasted. Pretty words. I have had a lot of therapy, Celie. A lot of time to examine why I was so afraid of disappointing my family that I was willing to disappoint the only person who truly mattered. I am not the man I was. I cannot prove that with words. I can only prove it with time. If you give me that time. The curtain rustled. Maya returned, a purple sticker proudly displayed on her shirt. I got 2 stickers. Because I was extra brave. You were absolutely extra brave. Celie gathered her daughter, careful of the freshly casted arm. We should go. Williams nodded. Can I? He hesitated. Can I call you? To check on her. You can call. But Williams. Actions, not words. That is all I care about. I understand. They left the hospital as the afternoon sun slanted through the glass entrance doors. Maya chattering about showing her cast to her grandmother, to her friends, to her teachers. But at the door, Maya stopped and turned back. Williams was standing in the corridor, watching them leave. Mama. That doctor. He seems sad. Why do you think that, baby? Because he looked at me like he lost something important. Celie's heart clenched. What else did you notice about him? His eyes. Maya said thoughtfully. They look like mine. Celie did not answer. She did not know how. That night, after Maya was asleep with her purple cast propped on pillows and her favorite stuffed dinosaur tucked against her side, Celie sat in her kitchen and tried to process what had happened. William Sinclair was in Denver. William Sinclair had seen their daughter. William Sinclair wanted to be part of Maya's life. And Celie had no idea how to feel about any of it. Her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Williams. I hope it is okay that I looked up your contact information. I just wanted to say thank you again for today. For letting me meet her. For giving me any chance at all. I know I do not deserve it. But I will prove that I do. Every day, for the rest of my life if that is what it takes. Sleep well, Celie. She stared at the message for a long time. Then she typed back 2 words. Prove it. She set down her phone and stared out the window at the Denver night sky. 7 years of walls. 7 years of protection. 7 years of making sure no one could ever hurt her or Maya the way Williams had hurt her. And now, he was asking her to consider the possibility that he had changed. That he had spent 7 years becoming someone worthy of being a father. Someone worthy of being in their lives. Part of her wanted to believe it. The part that remembered the man he had been before his cowardice destroyed everything. The part that saw how he looked at Maya with such genuine wonder and love. But the rest of her knew better. The rest of her had learned through 7 years of struggle that hoping for the best was a luxury she could not afford. She would watch. She would wait. She would give him exactly enough rope to either prove himself or hang himself. And she would protect her daughter no matter what. Because that was what mothers did. That was what she had always done. And she was not about to stop now. The next weeks would test everything. His commitment. Her boundaries. The fragile possibility that broken things could somehow be made whole. But that night, alone in her kitchen with her daughter sleeping safely down the hall, Celie Johnson allowed herself one small moment of hope. Maybe, just maybe, people could change. Maybe, just maybe, second chances were real. Maybe, just maybe, this story was not over yet. The first video call happened 3 days after the hospital. Celie had established strict parameters. 15 minutes maximum. Age-appropriate conversation only. She reserved the right to end the call at any moment if Maya seemed uncomfortable or upset. Maya sat at the kitchen table with Celie's laptop open in front of her, her purple cast prominently displayed. Celie positioned herself just outside the frame, close enough to hear everything, far enough to give Maya space. The call connected, and Williams appeared on screen. He was in what looked like a home office. Bookshelves behind him. Natural light from a window. He had clearly thought about the background, made sure it looked warm and approachable rather than cold and corporate. Hi Maya. Hi Dr. Williams. You can just call me Williams. If that is okay with your mom. Maya glanced at Celie, who nodded. Okay. Williams. That is a funny name. Like a last name but it is your first name. My parents were very traditional. Williams smiled. How is your arm feeling? It itches sometimes. Mama says that is normal. She says it means the bone is healing. Your mama is right. Itching is a very good sign. The conversation continued. Stilted at first, the way conversations between strangers always are. But slowly, Maya began to relax. She showed Williams her stuffed dinosaur collection through the camera. She told him about her friend Jasmine and the hamster named Sir Fluffington III. She explained, in great detail, the elaborate fantasy world she and Jasmine had created at recess involving kingdoms and dragons and a complex political system that Celie still did not fully understand. Williams listened. Really listened. Not the half-attention of adults who are waiting for children to stop talking. But genuine engagement. Asking follow-up questions. Remembering details from earlier in the conversation. So the purple dragons are the good ones and the red dragons are the bad ones. Mostly. Sometimes a red dragon can become good if they prove themselves. But it takes a long time. They have to show they have changed. That sounds fair. Everyone deserves a chance to prove they have changed. That is what Mama says. But she also says actions matter more than words. Your mama is very wise. I know. She is the smartest person ever. The 15 minutes passed faster than Celie expected. When she signaled that time was up, Maya looked disappointed. Do we have to stop? For today. But we can talk again soon. If you want to. I want to. Maya said this with the certainty of someone who had already made up their mind. You are a good listener. Most adults are not good listeners. They pretend, but you can tell they are not really paying attention. I am always paying attention when I talk to you. Williams said this quietly, and something in his voice made Celie's chest tighten. I promise. The call ended. Maya closed the laptop and turned to Celie with an expression of thoughtful consideration. He seems nice. He does. Do you think he is actually nice or just pretending? The question caught Celie off guard. Maya was 5, but she had always been perceptive in ways that exceeded her years. I think he is trying very hard to be nice. Whether he can keep trying when it gets difficult is something we will have to wait and see. Like the Red Dragons. Exactly like the Red Dragons. Maya nodded, apparently satisfied with this explanation. I hope he keeps trying. I like talking to him. Then we will give him more chances to talk to you. As long as you feel comfortable. I feel comfortable. He looks at me like I am important. The words hit Celie harder than she expected. Because that was exactly what she had seen too. Williams looking at Maya like she was the most important person in any room. It was exactly how he used to look at her. The video calls became routine over the next 2 weeks. Every other day, 15 minutes, always supervised. And with each call, Celie watched something shift. Williams remembered everything Maya told him. When she mentioned that Jasmine's hamster had learned a new trick, he asked about it in the next call. When she complained about a difficult spelling word, he helped her break it down into smaller pieces. When she told him about a nightmare she had, he taught her a breathing technique to calm down. He was not performing fatherhood. He was learning it. Absorbing it. Making space for it in his life. And Maya was responding. Opening up in ways that surprised Celie. Telling Williams things she had not even told her grandmother. Sometimes I feel different from the other kids. How do you mean? They have dads who come to school stuff. Pick them up. Coach their teams. And I just have Mama. Which is great. Mama is the best. But sometimes I wonder what it would be like to have the other thing too. The other thing. A dad. You know. Someone who is a boy parent instead of a girl parent. Williams was quiet for a moment. Processing. I understand that feeling. Of wondering what you are missing. Did you wonder about things too? When you were a kid. I wondered about a lot of things. Mostly I wondered if my parents actually liked me or just liked the idea of me. That is sad. It was. But I learned something important from it. I learned that when I had children, I would make sure they never had to wonder. I would make sure they always knew they were loved. Exactly as they are. Do you have children? The question hung in the air. Maya had asked it with genuine curiosity, no hidden agenda, just the straightforward inquiry of a child trying to understand the world. Williams looked at the camera. Through the camera. Directly at Celie, who stood just out of frame with her heart in her throat. Yes. He said quietly. I do. Maya tilted her head. Where are they? She is right here. Talking to me. Silence. The kind that fills a room with weight. Maya's eyes went wide. Then narrow. Then wide again as she processed. Me. Yes. You are my dad. It was not a question. Not really. It was the sound of puzzle pieces clicking into place in a 5-year-old mind. Yes, Maya. I am your dad. I did not know you existed until we met at the hospital. But now that I know, I want to be part of your life. If you will let me. Celie stepped into frame. She had not planned to. But her daughter needed her presence. Baby, I should have told you before the call. I was going to find the right moment but. It is okay, Mama. Maya's voice was surprisingly calm. I kind of already knew. You did. He has my eyes. Everyone always says I have unusual eyes. And his eyes look exactly like mine. Plus he looks at you the way Uncle Derek looks at Auntie Marie. Like there is a lot of history. Celie did not know whether to laugh or cry. You are too smart for your own good. I know. She turned back to the screen. So you are my dad? Yes. And you did not know about me? No. Your mama and I had some problems a long time ago. Before you were born. She moved away and did not tell me she was pregnant. Why not? Because I had hurt her very badly. She made the choice she thought was best to protect herself and you. Maya considered this with the seriousness of a Supreme Court justice. Did you really hurt her badly? Yes. I made a terrible mistake. I chose the wrong things. And I lost her because of it. Are you sorry? More sorry than I know how to explain. Then why did it take you so long to find us? I did not know you existed. I did not know your mama was pregnant when she left. I spent 7 years thinking she was gone forever. And then fate brought us together in that hospital. And now I know. And I want to be here. If you will give me the chance. The silence stretched. Maya looked at Celie. Celie looked at Maya. Williams waited. Okay. One word. 5-year-old acceptance in its simplest form. Okay. But you have to prove yourself. Like the red dragons. Words are not enough. You have to show me with actions. That is what Mama taught me. That is exactly what I intend to do. Good. Maya nodded firmly. Can I tell Jasmine I have a dad now? Celie stepped in. Let us take this one step at a time, baby. We can talk about what to tell people after we see how things go. Okay. But can I at least tell Grandma Elena? Grandma Elena already knows. She does. Maya looked betrayed. Everyone knew except me. I was trying to find the right way to tell you. I am 5, Mama. Not a baby. I can handle hard things. I know you can. And I am sorry I did not tell you sooner. Maya sighed with the weariness of someone who had been parenting her parents. It is okay. But no more secrets. Okay. No more secrets. Promise. I promise. Maya turned back to the screen. No more secrets from you either. She pointed at Williams. Dads are not supposed to keep secrets from their kids. I promise you, Maya. No secrets. Ever. Okay. She yawned suddenly, the emotional intensity of the conversation catching up to her small body. I am tired now. Can we talk again tomorrow? If your mom says it is okay. Mama. Yes, baby. You can talk tomorrow. Okay. Bye. Dad. The word hit Williams like a physical blow. Celie could see it through the screen. The way his composure cracked. The way tears gathered in his eyes that he quickly blinked away. Bye, Maya. Sleep well. The call ended. Maya slid off her chair and wrapped her arms around Celie's waist. That was a lot of feelings. It was a lot of feelings. But I think it is going to be okay. He seems like he really wants to try. We will see. Mama. Yes, baby. Are you okay? You look like you have a lot of feelings too. Celie hugged her daughter tighter. I have a lot of feelings. But I am okay. As long as I have you. You always have me. I am not going anywhere. I know, baby. I know. That night, after Maya was asleep, Celie sat in her living room with a cup of tea going cold in her hands. Her phone buzzed. A text from Williams. She called me Dad. I am still shaking. I do not know if I deserve that word yet. But I am going to spend every day of the rest of my life trying to earn it. Thank you, Celie. For giving me this chance. For raising such an incredible child. For being willing to let me try. Celie stared at the message for a long time. She did not respond. She was not ready to respond. But something had shifted. Some tiny crack in the armor she had worn for 7 years. Maybe Williams had changed. Maybe. 1 month after the hospital. Williams flew to Denver for his first in-person visit. Celie had established the terms. Public location only. Her brother Derek would accompany them as an additional chaperone. Activities would be child-centered. Maya would be in control at all times. Williams agreed to everything without argument. They met at the zoo on a Saturday morning. October sun warmed despite the cooling season. Families everywhere, enjoying the last good weather before winter set in. Williams arrived 15 minutes early. Celie watched from her car as he paced near the entrance, checking his phone repeatedly, adjusting his jacket, running his hands through his hair. Nervous. Genuinely, obviously nervous. He looks like he is about to face a firing squad. Derek observed from the passenger seat. Good. He should be nervous. You are enjoying this. I am protecting my daughter. Those two things can both be true. Maya was bouncing in her car seat, eager to get out, to see the animals, to show off her cast to anyone who would look at it. Can we go now, Mama? I want to see the penguins. In a minute, baby. But he is already there. I can see him. He looks scared. Why does he look scared? Because he really wants this to go well. Oh. Maya considered this. That is actually kind of nice. It means he cares. They walked toward the entrance. Williams spotted them immediately. His whole face transformed into a smile that made him look 10 years younger. Hi Maya. Hi Celie. He glanced at Derek. You must be the brother. I am Williams. I know who you are. Derek did not extend his hand for a handshake. I know what you did to my sister 7 years ago. I know she raised your daughter alone while you were living your privileged life in Seattle. And I know that if you hurt either of them again, I will make sure you regret it. Derek. Celie's voice carried a warning. He should know where I stand. I do. William said this calmly, without defensiveness. And you are right to feel that way. I have a lot to prove. Not just to Celie, but to everyone who loves her and Maya. Derek studied him for a long moment. Then nodded once. Good answer. The tension broke, slightly. Maya tugged at Celie's hand. Can we see the penguins now? They are my favorite because they are funny when they walk. They headed into the zoo, Maya leading the way with the boundless energy of a child who had been waiting all week for this moment. The penguins were everything Maya had hoped for. She stood at the glass, transfixed, watching them waddle and swim and huddle together for warmth. Did you know penguins mate for life? Williams crouched beside her, his voice quiet. What does mate mean? It means they choose one partner and stay with them forever. Once they find the right penguin, they never leave. That is romantic. It is. Penguins are very loyal. Maya pressed her uninjured hand against the glass as a penguin swam close. I wish people were more like penguins. Williams glanced at Celie, something painful flickering across his face. Me too. They moved through the exhibits at Maya's pace, which meant stopping at everything, reading every informational sign, asking every question that popped into her 5-year-old brain. Williams engaged with all of it. He had done his research, Celie realized. He knew facts about the animals that impressed even Derek, who had a degree in biology. He could explain why flamingos were pink and how elephants communicated and what made cheetahs the fastest land animals. But more importantly, he listened. When Maya invented elaborate stories about the animals they saw, he played along. When she got tired and cranky, he did not rush her or show impatience. When she wanted to circle back to see the penguins one more time, he did not complain. He is not terrible at this. Derek admitted quietly to Celie while Maya showed Williams her favorite spot near the polar bear exhibit. No. He is not. Does that make it better or worse? Both. After the zoo, they stopped for ice cream. Maya got purple flavored, which Celie was fairly certain was just grape, but Maya insisted it was a distinct category. They sat at a picnic table outside, the October breeze pleasant, the awkwardness slowly dissolving into something that almost felt like normalcy. Can I ask you something? William said to Celie while Maya was distracted by her ice cream. Depends on the question. Are you happy? Beyond being a mother, beyond your success. Are you happy? The question caught her off guard. Too personal. Too intimate for a first supervised visit. I am content. Content is not happy. Maybe not. But it is stable. And after 7 years of fighting for stability, I will take it over chaos. Williams absorbed this quietly. I am sorry I made you choose survival over joy. You were part of it. But I made my own choices. I built my life. I do not regret any of it. You should not regret it. You built something incredible. But Celie, you deserve more than just content. What I deserve and what I am willing to risk are two different things. Before he could respond, Maya announced she was finished with her ice cream and wanted to go back to see the penguins one more time. They walked back into the zoo, Maya between them, holding Celie's hand with her uninjured one while chattering about everything she had seen. This is the best day. She announced as they stood watching the penguins for the 3rd time. Can we do this again? If your mom says yes. Celie hesitated. This was the moment. The test. How she answered would set the tone for everything that followed. Yes. We can do this again. Maya's whole face lit up. Really? Really? Williams looked at Celie with an expression that was part gratitude, part hope, part something else she was not ready to name. Thank you. Do not thank me yet. This is just the beginning. I know. But thank you for the beginning. The visit ended in the late afternoon. Williams walked them to Celie's car, hesitating at the door. Can I come back in 2 weeks? That works. Can I call Maya this week? Like we have been doing. If she wants to. Maya. Yes. Can I call you this week? Yes. But remember. Actions, not words. I am still watching. I would expect nothing less. She hugged him then. Quickly, impulsively, wrapping her small arms around his waist before pulling back and scrambling into the car. William stood frozen for a moment, overwhelmed. Bye, Dad. Bye, Maya. See you soon. He watched them drive away, still standing in the same spot, growing smaller in the rearview mirror until he disappeared entirely. Mama. Yes, baby. I think he might be one of the good ones. Like a red dragon who is becoming purple. Maybe. We will see. But you hope so. I can tell. Celie did not answer. The answer was too complicated for words. We are in the middle of something remarkable, and I need you to pause with me for just a moment. What you are witnessing is the slow, painstaking work of trust being rebuilt. It is not dramatic. It is not explosive. It is consistent. Showing up. Paying attention. Keeping promises. And that is exactly what makes it so powerful. I want to know what you think. Have you ever given someone a second chance? Did they earn it? Did they prove themselves? Or did they let you down again? Drop a comment below and share your story. If this narrative is resonating with you, if you believe in the possibility of redemption, hit that like button right now. Share this with someone who needs to be reminded that people can change if they are willing to do the work. Subscribe to Mr. Dawson Stories and turn on notifications because the rest of this journey is going to challenge everything you think you know about forgiveness and family. Now let us continue. Because the next few months are going to test Williams in ways he never expected. And what happens will determine whether this story ends in hope or heartbreak. The weeks turned into months. Williams kept his word. Every video call, exactly as scheduled. Every visit, exactly as planned. He never cancelled. Never rescheduled. Never let anything, not work, not travel, not the demands of running a foundation, come between him and his daughter. He learned the details of Maya's life the way a devoted student learns a subject. Her bedtime routine. The exact way she liked her sandwiches cut. The 3 specific stuffed animals she needed to sleep. Her fear of thunderstorms. Her obsession with purple in every possible form. He showed up for school events. The Halloween parade where Maya dressed as a purple dinosaur. The Thanksgiving feast where parents were invited to eat lunch with their children. The winter concert where she had a solo in the 2nd grade choir. Teachers began to recognize him. Other parents nodded hello. He became a fixture, not a visitor. And Celie watched. Always watching. Looking for the cracks that never appeared. One evening, 4 months after the hospital, Williams stayed for dinner after dropping Maya off from a father-daughter cooking class. They sat in Celie's kitchen, leftovers of the pasta Maya had proudly made, while Maya did homework at the table. You know you do not have to cook dinner every time you visit. Celie said. I know. But I want to. You spent 5 years doing everything alone. The least I can do is handle a few meals. You sound like you are trying to make up for lost time. I am. Is that wrong? Not wrong. Just. Celie struggled to find the right word. Intense. I can dial it back if it is too much. No. She shook her head. It is not too much. It is just. I am not used to having help. I know. And I understand why. You had to become completely self-sufficient because I was not there. That is on me. But Celie, you do not have to do everything alone anymore. If you will let me, I want to be a partner in this. Not just a visitor. The word partner hung between them, loaded with meaning neither of them addressed. Maya looked up from her homework. Are you two having a feelings conversation? Maybe a little. You should have those when I am not here. It is embarrassing. Celie laughed despite herself. Fair enough. Finish your homework. I am almost done. Then can we watch a movie? All three of us. If Williams does not have somewhere to be. I have nowhere to be. Then yes. Movie. Maya returned to her homework with renewed focus, motivated by the promise of family movie night. Family. The word echoed in Celie's mind. Was that what they were becoming? A family. After the movie, after Maya was in bed, Williams lingered at the door. Thank you for today. You keep thanking me. You do not have to. I know. But I mean it every time. Williams. Yes. What are we doing? The question surprised them both. What do you mean? I mean, what is this? These dinners. These movie nights. This. She gestured vaguely at the space between them. This thing that is becoming something more than co-parenting. I do not know. He admitted. I know what I want it to be. But that is not my decision to make. What do you want it to be? The question was dangerous. She knew it was dangerous. But she asked anyway. I want it to be everything. I want you. I want Maya. I want the family I should have fought for 7 years ago. But I know I destroyed my right to want those things. So I will take whatever you are willing to give me and be grateful for it. You cannot just say things like that. Why not? It is true. Because. Celie struggled. Because it makes it harder to keep my walls up. Maybe that is the point. Williams. I am not asking you for anything. I am just being honest. You deserve to know where I stand. Even if you are not ready to stand there with me. She did not know what to say. So she said nothing. He nodded, accepting her silence. I should go. Same time next weekend. Same time next weekend. He left. She stood in the doorway watching his car disappear down the street. What was she doing? What were they doing? 6 months after the hospital, Williams made an announcement. They were having dinner at his new Denver apartment. He had signed a lease 2 months ago, wanting a proper space for Maya to stay during visits. The apartment was comfortable and warm. Photos of Maya already on the walls. A purple bedroom waiting for her. I have news. He said as they finished eating. What kind of news? Maya asked, still focused on her dessert. Big news. About my work. Celie set down her fork. I have been restructuring the foundation. Delegating more responsibility to my team in Seattle. And I have decided to open a Denver office. A real office, not just me working from home. I am relocating here. Permanently. Maya shrieked with delight, nearly knocking over her chair as she threw herself at Williams. You are moving here. Like, living here. For real. For real. I want to be close to you. I do not want to miss any more of your life. Celie sat very still. Processing. That is a big decision. It is the right decision. Williams said, meeting her eyes over Maya's head. I have spent 6 months proving I can show up. Now I want to prove I can stay. What about your life in Seattle? I did not have much of a life in Seattle. I had work. The foundation can function with me remote most of the time. I will fly back when I need to. But my home. He paused. My home is here now. With Maya. And with you. If you will have me. The words landed in Celie's chest like a physical blow. Williams. I am not asking for anything you are not ready to give. I am just telling you where I stand. And where I stand is here. In Denver. Close to the people who matter most to me. Maya was bouncing with excitement, oblivious to the adult undercurrents. Can I tell Jasmine? Can I tell everyone? My dad is moving here. This is the best news ever. You can tell everyone. Maya raced off to find her tablet, already composing a video message to her best friend. Celie and Williams sat in the sudden quiet. You are really doing this. I am really doing this. Why? Because you and Maya are worth restructuring my entire life. Because I spent 7 years becoming someone worthy of this chance, and now that I have it, I am not going to waste it. Because being your daughter's part-time father is not enough. I want to be here. For all of it. The big moments and the small ones. The easy days and the hard ones. This is a lot. I know. And I know you need time to figure out what it means. I am not going anywhere. Literally. So take all the time you need. Celie looked at him. Really looked at him. This man who had broken her heart so completely that she had spent 7 years convinced she would never let anyone close again. He was different. She could see it now. The impatience that had once marked him was gone, replaced by a steady patience. The fear of disappointing his family that had made him a coward had transformed into a quiet confidence. He knew who he was now. What he wanted. And he was willing to wait for it. You terrify me. She admitted quietly. I know. I terrify myself sometimes. But I would rather terrify us both by trying than devastate us all by walking away. How do you know you will not change your mind? In a year. In 5 years. How do you know this is not just guilt or novelty? Because I have spent 6 months examining every decision I make. Because I am in therapy twice a week learning to understand my patterns. Because I wake up every morning and the first thing I think about is Maya. And you. Because I have had relationships in the last 7 years and none of them felt like this. None of them felt like home. Home. She repeated the word. Home. He confirmed. That is what you are to me, Celie. You and Maya. Home. Maya came racing back in. Jasmine says this is amazing news and she wants to meet you at school pickup tomorrow. Can she meet you at school pickup? She can meet me at school pickup. And her mom says you seem like a really good dad. Even though you were missing for a while. She says lots of people make mistakes but what matters is what they do after. Jasmine's mom sounds very wise. She is. She is almost as wise as my mom. Maya climbed into Celie's lap. Right, Mama. You are the wisest. I do not know about the wisest. You are. And now we are going to be a real family. Like I always wanted. Celie's eyes met Williams over their daughter's head. A real family. Maybe. Just maybe. That was exactly what they were becoming. The crisis came 3 months after Williams moved to Denver. Maya woke up with a fever. Not unusual for a kindergartner. But by noon, the fever had spiked to 104 and she was lethargic in a way that frightened Celie. She called her mother to meet them at the hospital, then bundled Maya into the car. Her phone rang while she was driving. Celie. Williams sounded panicked. The school called me. They said Maya is sick. Where are you? Driving to the hospital. Her fever is high. She is not responding normally. I am on my way. I can get there faster if I take the highway. Williams. I know. Just drive. I will meet you there. He was already in the emergency room when she arrived, pacing near the intake desk, his face pale. They are getting a room ready. He said immediately. I told them her symptoms. They are taking it seriously. How did you get here so fast? I was already close by. I was meeting with a contractor for the office and I left the second I got the call. They rushed Maya into the pediatric ward. A different hospital than where they had first met, but the same fluorescent lights, the same antiseptic smell, the same terror gripping Celie's chest. Williams never left. Through the tests. Through the waiting. Through the hours of uncertainty when no one could tell them what was wrong. He sat beside Maya's bed, held her small hand, whispered stories to keep her calm when she was conscious enough to be scared. You should call your office. Celie said at one point. You had meetings. I cancelled everything. Everything. Maya is sick. Nothing else matters. And Celie believed him. Completely, in that moment, she believed him. The diagnosis came late that evening. A severe infection that had spread faster than anyone expected. Treatable with antibiotics, but serious. Maya would need to stay in the hospital for at least 3 days. That night, after Maya finally fell asleep, Celie sat in the uncomfortable hospital chair and broke down. She had not cried in years. Not when the business struggled. Not when relationships ended. Not when the loneliness of single motherhood threatened to swallow her whole. But here, in this hospital room, watching her daughter fight an infection, she finally shattered. Williams was beside her in an instant. She is going to be okay. The doctor said she is responding to the antibiotics. I know. I know she is going to be okay. That is not why I am crying. Then why? Because for the first time in 7 years, I am not alone. She looked at him through blurred vision. You are here. Really here. Not because I asked you to be. Not because it is convenient. But because this is where you belong. This is where I belong. He agreed softly. Right here. With you. With her. This is exactly where I belong. He held her while she cried. Not trying to fix it. Not offering empty reassurances. Just present. Solid. There. When she finally stopped, exhausted and wrung out, he handed her a tissue. I love you, Celie. The words came out quiet. Simple. True. I never stopped. Not for a single day of the last 7 years. I loved you when I was too much of a coward to fight for you. I loved you when you disappeared and I thought I had lost you forever. I loved you when I discovered Maya and realized what my cowardice had cost us all. I love you now. In this hospital room. Watching you be the strongest person I have ever known. Williams. You do not have to say it back. You do not have to feel the same way. I just needed you to know. Because I have spent 7 years regretting all the things I did not say. And I am not going to make that mistake again. She looked at him. This man who had broken her. This man who had rebuilt himself. This man who had shown up, day after day, proving through action what his words alone could never convey. I do not know if I can trust my heart to you again. That is okay. It is. I will wait. However long it takes. I am not going anywhere. What if it takes forever? Then I will wait forever. Because you are worth waiting forever for. Maya stirred in her hospital bed, and they both turned to her immediately. Mama. I am here, baby. Is Daddy here too? He is right here. Good. Maya's voice was weak but clear. I like it when you are both here. It feels safe. She drifted back to sleep, her small hand reaching out until Celie took it. Celie looked at Williams across their sleeping daughter. Ask me again. She said quietly. Ask you what? What you asked me. About being a family. About being together. Ask me again. Celie. Are you sure? No. I am not sure of anything. Except that I do not want to spend the rest of my life being safe and alone when I could be terrified and with you. So ask me again. Williams took a breath. Celie Johnson. Will you let me love you? Not just as Maya's father. But as your partner. Your person. Your home, the way you have become mine. She should have thought about it more. Should have been cautious. Should have protected herself the way she had protected herself for 7 years. Instead, she said yes. Yes. Williams kissed her then, there in the hospital room, with their daughter sleeping between them. Not passionate. Not dramatic. Just honest. A beginning. Maya is going to be insufferable about this when she wakes up. Celie said against his lips. She absolutely is. She predicted it, you know. From the beginning. She said you looked at me like there was history. There is history. And now there is a future. 1 year after that emergency room meeting, they stood in the backyard of their new home. Their home. Together. A craftsman-style house with enough room for all of them. A purple bedroom for Maya. A home office for Celie. A kitchen where Williams made pancakes on Saturday mornings, finally having mastered the art of not burning them. Maya ran between the adults gathered for the celebration. Grandma Elena. Uncle Derek and his wife. Jasmine and her family. The friends and community they had built together. 1 year. Celie said, watching their daughter laugh. 1 year since everything changed. Best year of my life. Williams replied. Even the hard parts. Especially the hard parts. They proved we could handle anything together. She leaned into him, still marveling at how natural this felt. How right. I love you. She said it now. Easily. Frequently. Making up for all the years when she could not say it at all. I love you too. Always have. Always will. Maya ran up to them, breathless and beaming. When are you getting married? Jasmine says her parents got married after they had been together for a year. You have been together for a year now. So when? Celie laughed. Your timing is impeccable. Williams reached into his pocket. Actually, I was planning to do this later. But since you asked. He dropped to one knee in front of Celie, and the entire backyard went silent. Celie Johnson. 7 years ago, I made the worst mistake of my life. I let you go. I spent every day since then becoming someone worthy of the chance to ask you this question. Will you marry me? Maya was bouncing beside them, barely containing herself. Say yes, Mama. Say yes, say yes, say yes. Celie looked at the ring. Simple. Elegant. Perfect. She looked at Williams. Patient. Hopeful. The man he had become instead of the man he had been. She looked at Maya. Their daughter. The bridge between their past and their future. Yes. The backyard erupted. Maya shrieked. Elena cried. Derek actually smiled. Williams slid the ring onto her finger and stood to kiss her while their daughter wedged herself between them, insisting on being part of the hug. We are a real family now. Maya announced to everyone present. I always knew we would be. How did you know? Because. She said it with 5-year-old certainty. Because you look at each other like the penguins at the zoo. The ones who mate for life. Williams looked at Celie. Celie looked at Williams. And they laughed, because their daughter was absolutely right. They did look at each other like that. Like they had found their person. Like they were home. And after everything they had been through, that was exactly what they were. This is where the story ends. But before I let you go, I want to leave you with something. Celie Johnson walked into an emergency room as a single mother with a secret she had kept for 7 years. She walked out with the beginning of something she had stopped believing was possible. William Sinclair spent 7 years becoming a different man. Not because he knew he would ever get a second chance. But because he understood that who he had been was not who he wanted to be. This story is not a fairy tale. Fairy tales do not include 7 years of struggle, of therapy, of learning to trust again. This story is something better. It is real. And here is what I want you to take from it. People can change. But only if they choose to. Every single day. Actions matter more than words. Promises mean nothing without follow-through. And sometimes, the person who broke us can become the person who helps us heal. If they are willing to do the work. But here is the other truth. You do not owe anyone a second chance. Celie was complete on her own. She did not need Williams. She chose him. After he proved himself worthy of being chosen. That is the difference between desperation and decision. If this story moved you, I need you to do something right now. Hit that like button. It helps more people find stories that matter. Subscribe to Mr. Dawson Stories if you have not already and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload. Share this video with someone who needs to hear that walls can protect us, but they can also imprison us. That healing is possible. That sometimes the greatest courage is not in walking away, but in letting someone back in. And drop a comment below telling me what lesson from Celie and Williams' story you will carry with you. I read every single comment. Your stories inspire the content I create. Thank you for spending this time with me. I am Mr. Dawson, and I will see you in the next story. Where we will explore more of the messy, beautiful, complicated truth about love and loss and the courage to begin again. Until then, remember. Every ending is really just a beginning in disguise.